Alright, so if I give you a for instance, like this is like star equipment, and where I woke up, there's no vocabulary, there's no teacher, you're kind of just winging it by yourself, and nobody else knows. Well, I mean, one other person knows, the man you're trying to get to, but like he keeps appearing and then disappearing in your life because the sequencing keeps going off because area idiots elsewhere insist on some fat, white, like ugly-ass non-goddess sitting in a crown in London as the only advertisement in the world. Right, and then there's like nobody else that ever existed. Right, I know that there's like some guys that walk around, they went to sandy vacation in the Middle East, but apparently they mean nothing to the woman in England who wears a crown that she's not deserving of because she's not the bloodline of Christ, and she lies about everything. So, and she's useless to the guys in the sandy vacation that I think some of them like might have been born in New York or like the states of like between the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, somewhere in the 50. They call themselves United States. In Italy, they say Stati Uniti. So it gets a little weird when you, because they're really, I don't know who they're united with. I mean, I thought it was God, but apparently not, because they left God for several generations in the lurch, L-U-R-C-H, of the leaching system being the cesspool and septic of all area United States between Pacific and Atlantic. Yeah, that's the leaching, L-E-E-C-H-I-N-G-S-Y-S-T-E-M. Right. They left a lot of people in the lurch and the leaching system with God's white, colorless seeds. And then some of the children in the leaching system, they're melanin rich. They get really loud and obnoxious, and they actually would have hurt the colorless white seeds in New York. I don't know why. I mean, like, we've always been nice to every color. We are gods. But, like, you put some kind of false advertisement in a crown and whatever in London. So, the spatial, extra special, out of sequence, out of time, extinction expert to try to help you save yourselves. The informant, I guess you call. I mean, there's so many things you could call me. I just don't know who and what words you use, especially if English isn't your first language or you are in a department that uses whatever. I mean, it's like, how do you speak goddess to all area nobody specials to get over their heads to get to, like, someone who works in a job that could be helpful and useful? And you don't know what to call them because what country do they live in? What's their job title? How do they organize themselves? I don't know. Nobody's introduced themselves to me and nobody's given me like whatever. And here's the other thing. Because I'm so spatially and genetically special, and we're in my simulation of astro projection, of like this, I know appears to be real to you all, but it's very broken, and I'm like the only one that can fix it. But I had a whole team of helpful units, but then we had the 1960s with Elizabeth, and now it's a big fucking problem, because now a lot of people know, too many people were hurt in what they call real world, I don't know, I call it the fucking fake belief. Let's see, so what words do you use? How do you explain it? Okay, so I know how to, recall, I suppose. Is it a remember? I mean, it was my member in an out-of-sequence moment, and then it comes back to me, and then I make document and mention of it, because obviously it's being thrown to me through the astral projection system of the science that's broken that I'm trying to fix, that humans are a dysfunction in. We're in dysfunction junction. So I am the only one who can fix it, yet I'm the only one that is around to document it. And I have a bunch of people that could have helped me, but they've got some frightened whatever for themselves and their families, because they're frightened of like other humans now for I don't know what reason. I don't know why you all can't like put yourself in an underground bunker. I'd join you and we'll just stockpile ammunition and whatever until we get it fixed. I mean, I really don't need this above ground bullshit. I don't like the sun. So anyway, And the sun's turned too high, by the way. Oh, I don't even know. Can you see? Is it still... I was out for... No, now it's gone. It was burning all last night. 15 minutes, I had, like, my arm out, and the entire arm was burned. Like, red. Like, lobster red. It's... I don't know. It's turned down now. Oh, and I had floaters this morning. I was late. I slept till 12. Whatever. I got up. I had cereal. All of a sudden, maintenance pulled me back down. Apparently, I had an out-of-sequence moment that I needed to go tend to an explanation and verification. So then I went back to sleep till, I think, noon, and then they pulled me back, and I rebooted, and now here I am. But when I rebooted, my sunburn is gone. It was lobster red, so I don't know what moment in the... Here's the thing. I mean, like, you have a shapeless, undescriptive unit with one functioning piece and a whole lot of dysfunctional people on technology trying to get their important statesmen and heads of whatever snake they live for, right, and putting them again in front of God or doing research. So it gets a little hard to try to explain, like, what day, what month, what year, what time. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I have a physical system, 2 physical systems that you have to pair up, but whatever. I mean, I have systems outside of that system. I'm just waiting for somebody to show the fuck up so we could get to a bunker so I could just rewrite over my... I don't need their words, and I just need a complete override, which I already know how my anatomical override works. I'm just not putting it out on all area, like liars, thieves, and cheats in every color but white. So, I need small, colorless team with Hitler and myself, and that's it. We've been telling you that since before we were born, but I don't know it takes so long for people to, like, catch on. Alright, so, I need, let me think about this. Okay, so, oh right, I had in an out of sequence moment. It was a partial reboot, I suppose. Again, words. I'm trying to give you some kind of tack, so my Tic Tacs can, like, and I'm like, well, my Tic Tacs that sometimes have toes. I mean, I don't need to always wear toes. I don't always wear toes either. So my Tic Tacs that out of sequence with me, so we can privately meet and try to put my Tic Tac with human toes in the sequence alignment, in the colorless, odorless, shapeless, whatever this dysfunction is moving in. Where was I? Okay, so I had a moment where I was in a, what I call Mandarin. It was a very Orient Asian-ish looking outfit. One of those set director placements in my closet when I wasn't looking. Same way that my one and only sweatshirt from Nicklaus disappeared out of my life, and then one day reappeared, along with him, by the way. But then all of a sudden he reappeared with the sweatshirt in my closet. Out of nowhere, right? The pink closet, but he was Christopher, I was his mom, and he was tuned into Alexander, but he was Nicklaus's coloring, but anyway, because he's ruddy, I'm ashy. So, as far as hues and pallors in colorless but God fruit seeds. Alright, anyway, that's genetics in geonatology. Alright, so my point is that, and then all of a sudden, Nicklaus and I both didn't rip the sweatshirt into, like, shreds. I don't know who was wearing my sweatshirt that it shred on the arms, on the thing. I mean, it was in total disarray. I really never wore it in real life, so in this sequence, so I don't know how it got tattered and torn when he hasn't been in my life, and I haven't had it in my closet. But anyway, so another sequence was, I rebooted in a moment where there's some dad-like figure. I had a second moment with him in Landmark in New York when Anthony and I were supposed to go, but then Anthony went out on a drug binge, and left me in Landmark when I met Arlie Fox Daly. The man that I met there was not, I guess, wasn't a Landmark rep. He was some philanthropist, I think he said. Pointed me out in the room as an angel of some sort. But him and I have a moment in a reboot that I'm not in a familiar territory, and it wasn't like in my life sequencing in my front face. It was a Tic Tac moment. It wasn't my Tic Tac Toad moment, although I was wearing toes in that moment. So again, it gets confusing to try to explain all area. It was excited because I was somewhere and I was going to do some kind of speech in front of a whole audience that was waiting to meet me. And I was in that like Asian looking outfit. It was black with some form of adornment over here with, like, I guess if you look at the costume in The Matrix, what that Neo is wearing, where it's not a it's a collar, but it's not like a fold collar. I call that Mandarin collar. I don't know what everybody else calls it. And then it has like a button placement special, and then it had like some kind of Asiatic like adornment on the front of it. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. No idea where I got it from. I think that he said it was a gift. I said okay. So then he came over and he just put a microphone thingamajiggy over here. And then I walked out, lights were there, but then I got up to the podium and I just said, look out, C-O-O-K-O-U-T. I spun around and I walked out, and then that was the end of the moment of out of sequence. Out of sequence and out of touch, because that was not a reality that this life was headed into. That was a reality in either one of my other lives or a different sequence that actually was functioning, and not this viral dysfunction that this version of humans is living in. So, yeah, so I wanted to make mention of that. I'm grasping and grappling with how to tactfully come up with new words, but not enough words that then people are curious and want to research it, since the radically facially deformed are the ones, according to America, that have some kind of trade agreement with China. Yeah, really? Because they're facially and radically deformed. They're the Mongol idiocy. They're the ones that are like special education, where they specially educated themselves privately about God and about God's system without God's permission, and they've been warping and manipulating it and everyone else to become their slaves and forget about God completely, which forces humans into extinction along with this planetary system, because I'm not taking any of their deformity with me, and I've already retracted all of the spatial trajectory points that anybody could ever try to follow or anchor to in a future memento. Which is why this tact is so dysfunctioning and so ungraceful at this very moment, is because I have to retract all of the future that they built around themselves and everybody else being their slaves as a slave race. They are genetically disformed and disfigured humans. Why? All area, black, caramel, white, ashy, whatever you want to call yourself, allows a special education child who is slightly more intelligent, but only because they stole other things, and they are making your versions look more stupid. Just so this way they can gain more ground in science, information, and technology, and look at like their world-classy leaders on the world stage. It's bullshit. They are just as bad as the children that you put in a home that the parents can no longer take care of. Or some of you actually put bullets in their head, and the rest of the community thanks you. Because we don't need to be keeping your genetic dysfunction, nor do we need to keep the radically facially disformed that's hurting all of the pureblood children everywhere around the world that don't even know what's going on.